All right, let's get this show started.
Let's start today's news with Florian getting honest on Colby Covington's UFC 296 loss. On the most recent episode of his podcast with UFC commentator Jon Anik, Florian refuted the idea that Covington didn't show up at UFC 296. Kenny made the argument that it was Leon Edwards' phenomenal footwork that completely shut down Colby's game plan of taking Leon down and controlling the fight on the ground. Hear it from Kenny.
So many people don't really know what they're watching. It's no offense. It's just, I've spent the majority of my life studying fighting and things like that. And when I hear someone go, Colby didn't show up, I'm sorry, but I immediately go, you clearly know nothing about fighting. You don't know about the sport, because absolutely, John, I'd say 90% of that or more had to do with Leon Edwards' ability to manage distance and keep Colby on the outside because of his phenomenal footwork and his ability to use those lead hands and those lead weapons and long-range weapons, and use those lead hands as tentacles to try to keep Colby on the outside. He was switching stances. Colby is not necessarily known for his footwork. When you look at guys that he's faced, whether it's, Kamaru Usman, Masvidal, Rafael dos Anjos, Woodley, Lawler, these are all great fighters. But when you look at them, you don't go, wow, man, their footwork is outstanding. No, you don't, which is why Colby is able to get to them. I can only wrestle you if I'm able to get at a certain range. If I don't get at that range, there is no wrestling. And so many times people are like, well, why didn't Colby just go for it? Go for it where? Who does he touch if he's trying to chase a ghost?
Ben Askren is confused by Colby Covington's UFC 296 performance. In a recent interview with Middle Easy, Askren said he didn't understand Covington's strategy at UFC 296 and revealed the ideal next opponent for Chaos. He said, "That was weird. I didn't know what to think. I don't know what his strategy was. I think the best strategy for victory for him was to make cardio a factor, get the takedowns, and stay on top, which is what he did in the 5th round. But I think Leon kind of at the same time said, I'm going to concede this round, I've won this fight, that type of thing, which I don't know if that was the right move by him, but that's what he did. He hasn't been in a real fight for over 2 years, one where he thought this guy is really tough and really competitive, and I will have to put on my best performance to beat him. In that time, I feel like he wanted to live that celebrity lifestyle and not grind like he used to. Maybe that gave him some doubt in his own ability, and that is where the hesitation came from." Speaking about Colby's next potential opponent, Askren said, "Maybe Shavkat. I don't know if Shavkat would take the fight. The one that makes sense is if you go Leon versus Belal and then you go Shavkat versus Covington. And if Colby were to beat Shavkat, maybe he gets another title shot because that is someone who makes you worthy of that." Coach Javier Mendez believes that Tony Ferguson is not done yet. After suffering a decision loss to Paddy Pimblett at UFC 296, the now 39-year-old Ferguson has a disastrous record of 7 consecutive losses within the cage. The last time Tony claimed a victory was back in June of 2019 when he defeated Donald Cerrone by TKO at UFC 238. Following the loss, UFC CEO Dana White urged the UFC legend to retire. However, Coach Javier Mendez, who trained Khabib Nurmagomedov and Daniel Cormier among others, thinks there is still a path for Ferguson should he be released by the UFC. The American Kickboxing Academy head coach believes Tony can still resurrect his career fighting outside of the UFC. Hear it from Coach.
Well, number one, the UFC, releasing him at this stage might benefit them. Before it didn't, because he's still a needle mover. He's really good, for advertising, hyping fights up. Tony's still good at that. So, the fact that there's like bare knuckle fighting, the fact that there's other organizations out there, it means that Tony still has a job if he wants to, for high paying job, because people pay to watch him. So, I think he probably needs to really look at himself now, because that's 7 in a row, and he keeps changing things up. Father time's catching him up more. I mean, it's going to be up to him and his family, but I don't want to say he should retire. That's on him.
Belal Muhammad is 100% sure he'll get the title shot. In a recent interview with ESPN MMA, Muhammad discussed his current situation and said that despite being denied by Leon Edwards, he's still next in line to fight for the gold.
I mean, it doesn't seem that I'm next. I am next. Like when I beat Gilbert Burns, Dana White, I had that note in my thing of Dana White say for sure 100% he's next. So I'm gonna hold that out. I'm gonna keep playing it out in my head. I'm just gonna stop thinking about it. I'm not even putting negative energy into the air. But when I hear these guys talk, I'm sitting there like, are these guys like slow? Like, do you understand what you're saying when you say it? Like Leon Edwards at the press conference. Well, Bully B, he's not gonna skip the line. Why is he gonna skip the line? You moron! I'm at the top of the line. There is no line. I am the line. Like, are you dumb when you say that type of thing? I'm on a 10-fight winning streak. I have more ranked wins than you. Like, and then his coach today comes out and says Gilbert Burns makes more sense. Like, so now I know where Leon Edwards learns it from. He learns it from his coach. But we all understood that, right? He's afraid of competition.
Dana White announces several huge fights. The UFC president has unveiled initial matchups for the historic UFC 300 card, which is scheduled for April 13th. Among the announcements, Aljamain Sterling is set to make his featherweight debut against Calvin Kattar. Jiří Procházka will return to face Alexander Rakic after his loss to Alex Pereira in the vacant 205-pound title fight back in November, and middleweight prospect Bo Nickel makes his long-awaited comeback facing off against Cody Brundage.
Now, what everybody's been waiting for. No main events or anything like that, but I will tell you April 13th. UFC 300, number 2 ranked Jiří Procházka versus number 5 ranked Alexander Rakic. Former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling moves up to featherweight to face number 7 ranked Calvin Kattar, and the return of Bo Nickel. He hasn't lost a fight in 5. He's got 5 wins, all coming by finish. He's 5-0. And he is taking on Cody Brundage. Brundage's last 4 fights, his last 4 wins, have all come by first-round finish.
White also announced that Whitaker vs. Costa and Jeff Neal vs. Ian Gary are set for UFC 298, and Brian Ortega will rematch Yair Rodriguez on the Mexico City card come February 24th.
So, February 17th, UFC 298 in Anaheim, number 3 ranked Rob Whitaker versus number 6 Paulo Costa. Also on the card, number 8 ranked Jeff Neal versus the number 10 ranked undefeated Ian Gary. And I know, we said that fight was on UFC 299, but it's not. It's on 298 now. Deal with it. February 24th in Mexico City. You already know Moreno versus Albazi is on the card. We are adding number 3 ranked Brian Ortega versus number 2 ranked Yair Rodriguez.
Listen up, fight fans. We've been working behind the scenes on a newsletter that will allow you to read and see content we can't always post on here. This will allow us all to better stay in the talk. Time for today's top memes. 3rd place was found over Instagram and was posted by a user named TreeRatMMA. 2nd place was found over Reddit and was posted by Commercial Strain. The top pick was found over Instagram and was posted by As Shopped As It Gets. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to stay in the talk.